Hello, welcome to this week's episode of Man, We're Too Old for This, here on the Nerd Eternal Network. I'm your host, the experience that some call Jason, and with me is...
CDL 113, the droid you're looking for.
Token line stepper, Tarky.
And the Todd Father, live from the gazebo of doom.
And today we're going to do a simple one. We're just going to go over our favorite Marvel villains. A while back we had done, Marvel heroes, so this will be a nice little companion piece for that.
Did you remember the guy that asked for this? Because this is actually a request.
Oh yeah, it is.
Honoring a request.
Who knew that we did such things?
I don't know. I think we're slipping. Next thing you know, we'll be pleasing. We'll get fans and start to please them. Horror. We're here to subvert your damn expectations.
Kind of like Microsoft when you type in YouTube and it takes you to Bing instead. All
right. It's your computer. It just doesn't like you today, Jason.
No, the Microsoft browser does that just all the time. I don't know what's going on with it. It's like the updated new version.
His computer's gained sentience. Tired of going to porn sites, damn it. From now on, I don't trust nothing you type in here.
You want coffee? All right, I'm going to send you over here to motor oil. They're both liquid.
That's more the equivalent of what it's doing.
Let's go to... Well, I want to go to YouTube. Bing it is.
It's the same, except for what's different.
He goes and types in his porn and takes him to a religious site. Pornhub.
For love?
Pornhub.com. You get a thing. You need Jesus in your life.
It's like his grandma's took over control of his computer.
I'm not sure either of my grandmothers have touched a computer.
See, that's totally me if I start haunting your ass. You want to go to Pornhub, do you? I send you to some senior center site with pictures of grandmothers. Yeah, have fun with that shit. Until you start actually wanting to go there.
Okay, I finally got to the site. This was a request. I won't say his full name because it's because weirdly on YouTube he's using his real name. Hey, we had a lot of people with use fake names, which I mostly do. But yeah, a fellow named Brett requested that we do a villain one. After he
Brett, this is for you.
After he watched our hero ones a couple days, not a couple days ago, like a week or so ago.
So shout out to Brett.
This may be the first one we've done as a request.
I think it is.
Have we got any other requests?
Somebody had suggested, had asked why we hadn't done one on RPGs in a while, and we did one on something RPG related shortly after that.
Yeah, but apparently you didn't like that guy enough to shout him out. So Brett, again, you're special.
You didn't suggest me shouting him out, so I never thought about it.
But see, you should think of that on your own.
Look, man, I run everything as it is.
This is true. Shout out to Jason.
All right, so anyway, Marvel villains. Danny, start us off. Who have you got?
For a Marvel villain, I'm going to have to go with Taskmaster. Character was created by David Michelinie, I think is how you say his last name, and George Perez. First appearance was the Avengers 195. Guy shows up and kicking the butt of the Avengers by himself. You got to give him props for that. I just like when he appears. It's like he ain't out to just kill you for no reason. He's 9 times out of 10 getting paid.
And most of the time, he's not out to kill you at all. Taskmaster's where all the supervillains get their flunkies from.
Yeah, he runs his school of teaching folks how to flunk, for being a flunky, like you say. And he's more interested in the dollar bill than he is, anything else. But I just like the books that he shows up in, because at some point he's going to have some line that you weren't, he's going to say or do something you weren't expecting. It's like, okay, I was not expecting you to say that, but
He was fun in the Deadpool book and the Agent X book.
Yeah.
I remember being a lot of fun in there. And other than that, I like the 2 times that he basically, let's see, because when Tony Stark was running kind of everything in the aftermath of Civil War, he had Taskmaster hired as one of the trainers.
Yeah.
For the superhero school. That when you had was it KIA?
Yeah.
He basically popped up going, when you realize KIA seemed to have particular targets, he's like, yeah, what do you think of me? Not a target. Oh, well, he was done fighting.
Yep.
You ain't come after me, I'm done.
Yeah.
He was working for...
left.
The other one was when he was working for Nazi Cap, and they were guarding a bunch of young prisoners, that maybe even some of the ones he trained, I can't remember for sure. And they hear thunder in the distance. Thor basically has swapped sides, and they hear thunder in the distance. And whoever he's standing there with is like, what's that? That's the sound of us losing. And he turns around and makes a deal with those kids. Hey, if we let you out, will you do this and that?
Yep. Yeah, Taskmaster
He's the opportunist.
really known for like, is this going to hurt me? No. Well, then I'm out.
Which makes him sound like a kind of a milksop, but he really ain't if he decides to go after you.
Yeah, and the trick is he realizes his limitations.
Yeah.
He has photographic reflexes, so if you kind of know, maybe even like Super Soldier, Captain America, Black Panther, somewhere in there, he can kind of fight you. Yeah, he ain't going toe-to-toe with a god.
No.
It's, oh, look, he's going through superpower people like a hot knife through butter.
Not unless he's got some
beyond.
specific gimmick or, some plot-specific gimmick that he can use to neutralize them.
Yeah. The you mentioned it when he was in the Deadpool books and the Agent X books. I liked it when he would put on a T-shirt like of Iron Fist or a T-shirt of Wolverine, and he would fight Agent X with only that power set, that fighting technique.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just like, okay, that's cool. And he's like, you were cheating. No, I wasn't. I only used, the physical abilities of this character. And, Agent X would be laying there in a heap like, Arr! And he would only have like a slight tear in his shirt or something. And like, yeah.
Yeah, because you had all that from the perspective of Agent X's diary entries. Because I think the Wolverine one, I think he cut off at the foot. Foot grew back. Yay, foot.
I think he decided to start hiding either the Wolverine or the Elektra shirt.
Yeah, it was one of the shirts that he snuck in and wrecked it.
Yeah, in his in the diary's like, got rid of this shirt today.
Yep.
But he's also the one that trained John Walker.
Yeah.
The new Captain America. They brought him in to basically train him in Steve Rogers fighting style, to teach him how to throw the shield and all that. Yeah, that was all Taskmaster.
Yeah. Because they tried Hawkeye, and Hawkeye was just...
No, it was literally just Taskmaster. They never... That was the thing with the Commission on Superhuman Activities. They never went to another hero to do squat. They went to a villain and went, hey, we'll pay you to teach our new Captain America how to be Captain America.
That's right.
That was also your first hint that maybe they were shady.
Hawkeye was the one that was working with what was the black kid that got the superpowers because it was in his family line? The Truth kid?
Patriot.
Yeah, you talking about
Patriot.
Yeah, you talking about Patriot.
Yeah, that's who I was thinking Hawkeye helped.
Yeah, that was, I think, after Tony had tried to get Hawkeye to replace Cap for a minute there.
Yeah, he had, because that was his first idea to replace Cap was Clint, and Clint was like, "Yeah, I don't think so. I'm double crossing you." Well, not double crossing as much as I'm not going to do what you want. I think you're a villain.
But one of the things I liked about Taskmaster, I didn't read 195 Avengers 195 first because I didn't own it at the time. My first thing was can't remember what book it was in, but Taskmaster had been hired to do a job, and he was sitting there waiting on his target, thinking back to like when he realized he had powers. It showed him as a little kid watching the Olympics, and he was watching folks do high dives. And he had been at the pool the day before, and kids were making fun of him because he, wouldn't get out in the water too deep. And so he climbs up on the thing and does a perfect, Olympic high dive, but he can't swim. And so they have to drag him out so that he goes back and watches the Olympics and watches them swim, and that's how he learns how to swim.
When was it that they revealed that he had a weakness with his power?
I remember that, but I don't remember when.
Because the first time I encountered it was the Young Avengers book. Because one of the you had a girl on that team that also had photographic reflexes that they're pretty sure was probably his kid, but he just flat out tells her, "I don't know. I can't remember big chunks of my life." Because the photographic reflexes eats up his memory.
Eats up his memory.
Yeah, I was sitting here looking at the thing, and he calls it declarative memory loss.
But I don't know if that book was when they introduced that.
Pretty sure it is.
Or if it had been around prior to that, because
Because that was the thing, was Taskmaster would show up in books, but you didn't really have a hell of a lot of backstory or nothing. They kind of let you know what he was. They let you know that, yeah, he's gonna be real rough to fight, especially if he's seen you fight or fought you before. He can kind of predict your moves, which makes him pretty rough. But yeah, that and the you remember when he did when Udon did the miniseries where you find out that like he watches kung fu movies on
Double
fast-
speed.
on double speed. All of a sudden he can move like that. That for me, that was kind of cool.
Well, he could move like that for a little bit. It tuckered him out fast.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
tuckered him out, but it's the whole point that he was doing it at all makes it kind of stupid.
they were trying to turn it into
Why'd
an
you do
actual
it fast?
superpower when it's one of those things that's kind of that. It's kind of like Hawkeye's vision and aim. It's just kind of one of them borderline.
Yeah.
Or maybe Bullseye.
He's either a mutant or a mutate.
No,
Because
no, he's like Bullseye. He's just got a skill.
It may be more
Well,
like
I
he's
know.
a.
Well, he's also juiced
Prodigy.
with a serum.
Is he juiced with a serum?
Yeah, he's juiced with the Nazi version of the super soldier serum.
Okay.
That I didn't know.
Well,
I'm
it
pretty
makes
sure.
sense that he'd hunted something like that down.
Because he had the memory before,
yeah,
but after getting hit with the serum is when he started having problems with his memory, if I recall.
Taskmaster injected himself with SS Humpstrofer Horse Goth's primer, an elaborate modification, and adrenal steroid designed to unlock the mind's procedural memory.
Yeah, so his mind got messed up after he juiced himself up with
Okay, so he
a
had
form
something
of
of the
super
ability,
soldier.
and then he took something to juice it up, and okay.
Yeah,
And it screwed him up.
So,
Okay.
Yeah.
So don't do drugs, kids.
Yeah.
that's also part of where he's like able to do physical activities at kind of double time and shit, is because he is super soldier
That
level.
makes a
Okay.
little more sense then.
Okay. All right.
Or
Alright.
he's vaguely in that realm.
I like Jason's. Don't do drugs, kids. Unless you
Yeah.
turn out like Captain America, and in which case do them. I always love anti-drug PSAs with Captain America.
Yeah, they cracked me up too. Like,
Don't do
Okay.
drugs, kids. Motherfucker, ain't that how you got every power you got?
All right, let's move on. Taylor, who you got?
So, I may have misunderstood the prompt because you typed in, and I quote, "I guess we could do the villain one." So I went and grabbed my favorite villain. Luckily, due to the magnanimous nature of this podcast, you have allowed me to keep it because he technically connects to Marvel via Marvel vs. Capcom, and I appreciate that. I picked Sigma from the Mega Man X series. So, I'm not sure if Danny or Todd have played anything from the Mega Man X series.
Nope. But
Danny?
like I said, I know Sigma from this last Marvel v Capcom because they merged him with Ultron.
Danny, have you played anything of it?
No.
Okay. I'm gonna just throw some quick information to set up. There are humans and there are Reploids. Reploids it's a play on the word of replica and android,
Mhm.
but Reploid is basically self-aware robot people. They are all based off of this one robot, X. Sigma is, but occasionally Reploids, let me finish out the story. Reploids will do something called going Maverick, which is kind of like going insane due to something called the Maverick virus.
Okay.
So, it's a almost breathable kind of contracted computer virus that Reploids can get. Sigma is considered the best Reploid period. Like one of the top tier Reploids ever made by human hands. And he's also the commander of the Maverick Hunters, which are Reploids that hunt Mavericks. He gets a call in while he's, doing his job of a red Maverick that's just ripping people apart. No one knows, there's no identification for it. No one knows where the thing came from. He goes to fight it. And basically, that is one of the heroes you see in the early games, Zero, who infects him with basically the original Maverick virus, which contorts him into something that becomes the Sigma virus. Because Sigma was more complicated than other Reploids. The virus had to adapt in a bunch of different ways to actually infect him, and made a better virus.
Gotcha.
And Sigma became twisted, but not so utterly insane like other Mavericks that just went wild. And then he started infecting, he started being able to exhibit control over Mavericks. So the Mavericks went from this wild pack kind of thing into a unified force.
It almost sounds like they started off with the plot from Bubblegum Crisis. Have you ever seen that anime?
I have not, and I'm not sure what year it came out.
There's an anime you haven't seen? Somebody.
There's a lot of
Press.
animes I haven't seen. There's a lot.
Before his time.
It was for its time.
Yeah, he'd been.
But you had the robots would go nuts like that, and they would just be kind of crazy.
Hmm.
And then it sounds like Sigma's kind of a step above that.
But in X1, you don't know anything about that other than Sigma went Maverick, and Zero, another big Maverick Hunter at the time, is helping you. X, the newest, a new Maverick Hunter, kind of. You're having to help Zero fight Sigma, who's united all these Mavericks together somehow. And you burn through him, you beat him in the first game, and at the end of the game, you get basically a radio message from Sigma going, "Yeah, don't worry, kid, I'll be back." And you're like, "What? I literally just destroyed you in 3 different, I broke you down to where you were just a head that attached to a giant robot, and I beat the giant robot. How are you not dead?" And the second game picks up in the dead middle of, I believe they call it the Maverick War. Because just the fight never stopped. They kept being unified and they kept being commanded properly. So the Maverick Hunters are just, continuing to have to desperately throw their best people at this problem. And then Sigma pops up, again, but with, more weapons, and he declares he knows Zero's secret, and at this point in time, you don't know what that means. But you beat him again. He shows up in 3, and at this point, he's commending X, because he says X is going to be the best Reploid. He knows this. That's why he wants X to turn Maverick, but it just keeps not happening. To the point where Sigma has made like physical versions of the virus to just march at X, period. Just go for it. Just gun at him. And it just hasn't worked out. You beat him again. He shows up, except this time, the Reploid, you've come to X4, where humankind is kind of starting to be on the back end of things. Like, there's just a little less people and a little more Reploids. To the point there is an entire army called Repliforce, which is, you know, a pure Reploid army, navy, air force unit. But their commander-in-chief has been manipulated by Sigma in the background. So you go, you know, most of the game being like, oh yeah, Repliforce is helping us, Repliforce is helping us. And then suddenly the entirety of, you know, an army suddenly just flip sides on you. You go, ooh, we're in trouble again. And he just keeps, you know, coming up with these plans. And out of the 8 Mega Man X games, he's only not the main boss in one of them. But it's fun because, like, every game he's getting tougher and tougher and tougher. In X5, he talks about how he's met a human scientist that's helping build him a better body. And, like, you get hints that you may know who it is, but you never get told exactly. And then becomes my favorite part of X5, he drops a space station on Earth. So, like, most of the top of Earth is messed up. Humans have gone underground. X6 is 3 weeks after X5. Like, usually it's like a year has passed or 3 years has passed. X6 is 3 weeks past, and then suddenly Sigma's back and doing crap again. It's just like, humanity does not get a rest from Sigma doing crap.
Merging him with Ultron made sense then.
Yeah. And it sounds like he's done like Ultron, and he's got places set up to rebuild him.
Yep.
Well, the funny thing is, in X6, it's a Reploid scientist who just got spurned and hates humans. Yeah, he slapdashed a Sigma together and threw the Sigma virus in it. Because in X6, Sigma can't speak properly. He's just a messed up amalgam of things. You know, it was just someone decided, I need to have Sigma be the face of whatever's happening, and put together a Sigma.
So it was more of just a puppet at that point.
Yeah, as far as like story-wise, yeah, he was more or less just a puppet, but he was still the final boss.
Jason Voorhees from Friday the 13th, was it part 5? Remember that was the one that was not actually Jason?
Oh, okay. Well, the first one too.
And then in 7, we get to the worst game, but story-wise, it was kind of neat, where you get a new Maverick Hunter, Axel, who's part of a new generation, or he's a prototype for a new generation of Reploids, where he can kind of copy the form of other Reploids, along with their abilities and attributes. And Sigma is real big into trying to capture Axel, and it doesn't work out for him, but you can kind of see what he wanted was a body that could keep changing, but he wasn't able to get it because X and Zero fight him off. But I just enjoy him he just keeps coming back and keeps making plans. And if you just like read it, you know, point A to point B to point C, he's winning. Despite the fact he gets killed every time, he's getting his job done. The thing he wants to do is happening.
What is it that he wants to do?
Well, basically, he wants Reploids to take over, and he wants him to be in charge of it, and he wants X and Zero to realize they're better than everyone else. Period. as kind of a secondary thing. He also hates them and kind of wants to kill them by the end of it. But early on, he's like, yeah, you two are the best. You know, I'm better than you, but other than me, you two are the best.
So amongst
But, you know-
Reploids, he's almost got an apocalypse attitude. You're opposing me, but you are the fittest.
Yeah. But like as like an excerpt from his history, it's, you know, the virus adapted to being the Sigma virus, which allowed him to manipulate and control Reploids, bending them to his will. After this, he began to feel that humanity was keeping Reploid potential down and decided to revolt against humanity. You know, he realized we are a people. Yeah, we're the next people. We need to go ahead and get humans out of the way.
Which he's slowly doing.
Which he's slowly doing, and then it comes to Mega Man X8. Which is... Let me see if I can find a quick excerpt to... Yeah. Sigma instigated a new Maverick Revolt with the new generation of Reploids, because the new generation Reploids have the advanced copy abilities, except by accident, or kind of by coincidence, they realized, yeah, the best program to use to survive stuff is the Sigma program. It can survive basically anything, which results in the best cutscene in the Mega Man X series in my eyes. There's a space elevator being built, and there's an accident on it, where a bunch of Reploids might be hurt, and X is going to respond to it. And he sees out of the flaming wreckage of the elevator 7 or 8 Sigmas walking out. You know, this guy that has attempted to murder X numerous times. You know, if there's a version of Reploid PTSD, X has probably got it for this guy, and he sees 8 of them marching out. And then they turn back into their regular forms, because they just had to survive the elevator drop. But it's just that scene of X realizing, oh, these new generations are going to go Maverick super fast, and he's trying to scramble for an idea once he sees that.
So they can upgrade all this stuff, but they can't upgrade their antivirus.
Right.
Well, there has been antiviruses for Sigma throughout the series that have worked. And then Sigma adapts to it, because Sigma's better than them.
Because
Like
technology
Sigma
stopped advancing after they built Sigma?
Well, no, Sigma keeps advancing himself faster.
Oh, okay.
He was built by the most genius human, and by proxy, he's the most genius Reploid. So he's kind of just, you know, he believes X to be maybe better than his old forms, because he's based off X. But other than that, you know, he keeps devising new forms. But in 8 is the only one he's not the final boss. Because you beat him and you're like, okay, I've beaten the final boss. And then the Reploid that was designing the space elevator comes out, and yeah, takes the last chunk of Sigma as it screams for it, you know, as it begs for its life, crushes it, and fights you.
So maybe he's finally dead after that.
Right, well, like, in 6, he was super corrupted and messed up. In 7, he seemed clean. And then 8, it seemed like another kind of messed up one of him. It just seemed like the Sigma virus got transferred by accident. Just from, you know, the coincidence of Reploid saying, this is the best one to use.
Okay. And then they used him in Marvel Capcom, and to segue this into comics even further, I think he was in the, we were discussing it before we started recording that.
Archie Comics have done some, yeah.
Alright, well, I was aware of Sigma because I played the first Mega Man X. But I had not kept up with the game series very closely, so.
I had to look him up. I looked him up while you were talking. I've seen art for him on DeviantArt, but it's just a video game character. That's all I knew him from.
Yeah.
This ain't a naked Smurf. Next.
Yeah, my thing has just been like,
You know, his chess piece makes me think of Buzz Lightyear.
be fair, he is older than Buzz Lightyear.
Yeah, that's true, because the X ones go back to Super Nintendo at least.
Yeah.
They should sue.
And also, like, of all his forms, I think you're probably just looking at the OG one, or Sigma 2, where he's got the green chest, and that's it.
Yeah. Well, it was green and white with the little red dot, and the cape, and the big collar.
Yeah. You know, in X2, it's mostly a yellow chest. In X3, he's wild and has tendrils on his back. X4, he's like in a Grim Reaper costume and then some crazy forms.
Alrighty. Well, let's see. I guess that leaves just my character.
Fuck you, Todd. You don't get to speak.
Oh, okay, that's right. I jumped. I have everybody on a list, but apparently I was jumping around on my list. All right, I'll go with Todd then. Who have we got, Todd?
Thanos of Titan, but not the shitty, weak, weird, eco-friendly MCU version, but the one from the comics that's booed up with death, aka the good one.
Yeah, the comic book one is a lot stouter and more evil.
Yeah. They,
And less prone to contradiction, maybe?
well, yeah, he's fairly single-minded. Thanos in the comics is one of those kind of neat characters. Him and Adam Warlock, because they are part of the universe, but like the other cosmic beings, look at them as something kind of apart from everybody else. So anytime there's some kind of big, kind of like universal shift, it's kind of like either Thanos or Adam or both always kind of either realize it or part of it. And he was created in '73 by Jim Starlin. He is a Titan-born Eternal, but he's a mutant. And the neat thing was, back in those days, they hadn't really established the Eternals. I want to say the Eternals first popped up in Thor. And you knew they were, like, really, really stout because they went to war with the Asgardians. Matter of fact, the Asgardians and the Olympians fought the Eternals. So the way they were looking at them, like when you see, not Thanos' earliest appearance in Iron Man, because that was kind of off. He had a Thanos helicopter and shit like that. I don't know what the hell they were doing in that one.
Was that Iron Man or Spider-Man?
No, I know his first appearance is in Iron Man.
Okay.
But because Iron Man's fighting the Blood Brothers, and the Blood Brothers were basically part of Thanos' pirate army. But anyway, what I was saying was once he gets into the kind of cosmic stuff, Thanos was kind of a big deal because once they found out he was an Eternal, and he's a mutant Eternal, so he was a little stouter, a lot weirder, and when he would pop up, unlike now, once they start showing him in the Avengers movies, they really kind of like flooded. They have flooded the market with him. Really, I take that back, since like the Infinity Gauntlet. But his appearances used to be kind of a big deal because the heroes were scared of him. Because at that time, they were not real. They thought that the Eternals were basically the cousins of the Olympian gods. So they looked at Thanos as a mutant demigod because he was that level powerful. And I don't know who's succeeded in becoming God more often, him or Doom.
Probably
I think they run fairly neck and neck. Doom's been God a hell of a lot of times too, but Thanos has been God 3 times, I think, because he became God when he got his hands on the Cosmic Cube. He became God with the Infinity Gauntlet, and then in Thanos, the end, he took godhood away from Akhenaten and became like his most powerful. The neat thing about Thanos was he always engineers his own defeat. The good guys are usually not the ones that beat him. The closest I've come to him not making some stupid decision that enabled the good guys to beat him was Marvel 2-in-1, where he died the first time. Because that's the storyline. It's a two-parter with Avengers Annual 9, where he's had the Cosmic Cube become God, and when Captain Marvel managed to shatter the Cosmic Cube and defeated him, Death left him alone. Where Death had always kind of been his constant companion. So when Death leaves him alone, that whole story is him trying to win its favor back. So he comes up with the bright idea is, in typical Thanos form, universal genocide. And instead of going planet to planet with his army like he tended to do, what he decided to do was, at that time, the Infinity Stones were called Soul Gems, because the only one that had a name was Adam Warlock's, and Adam had the Soul Gem. So at the time, that's what Marvel referred to all 6 gems as, was as Soul Gems. Well, that's the first time he collected all of them. He collected them, but he drained the power off of Warlocks because the actual Soul Gem in the Warlock comic was vampiric. So there was always a chance that if you screwed with that one, it would literally suck your soul out and kill you. So he pretended to be an ally to Warlock against the Magus. Really just to get close enough to him to where his machinery could siphon off power of the Soul Gem. And he had this giant synthetic Infinity Gem where he added that power and then had the others inside there. And his plan was he was going to wipe out all the stars in the universe, and that would cause, universal death, and that would make Death love him again. And that was his whole plan. When you read those early Thanos books, he was unique in villainy in that he was trying to kill the universe, but he didn't plan on surviving himself. Because for him, he looked at his death as a reward. It was real strange. Like when you read that 2-issue story, yeah, when he kills Warlock, he's like, yeah, go greet my mistress. Tell her I'm not too far behind you. Because that was his thing. He was going to wipe out literally all life in the universe, including himself. And he's stopped that time by Iron Man. Well, Captain Marvel destroyed the machine that the synthetic Soul Gem was on, and then Iron Man destroyed the actual gem. And that was the first time you had him go toe-to-toe with Thor. And he basically promises him at the end of that Avengers run, yeah, you're going to pay for what you've done. Well, since he had killed Warlock, he took the Soul Gem from him and had decided, well, this isn't enough power to wipe out all the stars in the universe, but it's enough to wipe out Earth's sun, and maybe, planet-wide death will be enough to make Death love me again. So that 2-in-1 is basically Spider-Man has a dream that he's going to do that, because you end up finding out Spider-Man's being manipulated by, Lord Chaos and Master Order. He gets the thing. They go up to Sanctuary 2. Thing is kind of iffy on the whole thing until he sees Sanctuary, and then when he gets in there, he hears Thanos' voice and is like, oh crap, that's Thanos. So he mops the floor with the thing. Spider-Man spends most of that issue running from him because he freaks out. that power level for him just to complete the hell out. He basically, finds his nerve and goes, well, I can't fight him, but I can get somebody that can, because Thanos had beaten the Avengers and had them basically as trophies. So that may have been, you might can make the argument that was his typical engineering his own defeat. Instead of killing them, he kept them. And Spider-Man manages to free them, and you see that Thanos is powerful enough to fight Thor and the Thing and be kicking both of them behind. That's the thing I always like to talk about when people talk about Thanos and they go, well, the Infinity Gauntlet. No, Thanos is rough as hell without touching a gem.
Well, he was a mutant eternal, and early on they let you know he has done things to himself to amp his powers. If he's got bionics, he's, mucked with himself.
Yeah. But that storyline, basically, he's winning again. And when you talked about Sigma, Thanos is kind of like that. His army, if he's occupied, his army's kind of rowdy and leaderless and easier to beat than if he's concentrating. If Thanos is concentrating and guiding them, they become a well-oiled machine and they wipe out planets of folks.
Well, originally it was just a huge band of pirates he had.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's all.
But does a large enough band of pirates that I'd consider that an army? It would eventually become an army.
Yeah,
it's
you wouldn't think of pirates as being masters of discipline necessarily. As opposed to later on when you get the crap. The guys they use in the movies.
You talking about the Chitauri?
No.
The Badoon?
Not a race. The squad.
The Black Order.
The Black Order.
The Black Order? Yeah, the Cold Obsidian.
Yeah, Cold Obsidian was the one I was trying to think of.
Yeah. But yeah, the Cold Obsidian didn't come about until...
it's been a fairly recent one.
Yeah. This was Thanos in the old days. He just had he had an army. He had a mob of space pirates. But it was so many of them that it was an army. That wasn't like he was flying around in a pirate ship. He had a fleet. But anyway, he ends up losing that fight because Spider-Man manages to release Warlock's spirit from the Soul Gem and seething with cosmic power. He grabs Thanos, and the next time you see Thanos, he's basically living stone. And the punishment was he didn't completely kill him. Because the last shot of that book is the statue crying because he would never completely die, so he'd never be with death. He was just kind of trapped in stone, living stone.
And that was kind of the longest that Thanos was out of commission, wasn't it?
Yeah. He was truthfully, he was out of commission from that Marvel 2-in-1 all the way to the Thanos quest, which is the thing that led into the Infinity Gauntlet.
Mm-hmm.
And, he's been almost a constant something since. I think he's currently dead. I want to say Gamora chopped his head off in one of these crossovers a couple of years ago. But, when you boot up with death, how long does that last?
Yeah.
Because that's kind of... Yeah.
Until you make a mistake and get kicked out.
Yep, you left the toilet seat up.
Well, yeah. Well, as if
back to the mortal coil you go.
Or, I need something killed. Who's the best killer I got? Oh, Thanos? Yeah, you like that stuff. Go kill a bunch of people. I act like I like you. I think the happiest ending Thanos has ever had was Annihilation.
Yeah.
Because he's finally killed by Drax the Destroyer. But you actually see him for a little while as Death's consort. So it's happy Thanos, but he's happy because he's dead and he's booed up with his boot.
You also see happy Thanos at the end of the death of Captain Marvel.
Yeah, that is.
When Captain Marvel dies, Death and Thanos are there waiting on him.
Yeah.
And, it's pretty much happy Thanos, and they go off into the afterlife.
That
Yeah.
is right.
Well, we could go
But
on
yeah.
and on about Thanos because there's so much material, but this one's already going long, and now we have the greatest Marvel villain to talk about.
Lamest shit ever.
Stiltman.
I was gonna say Typeface.
The Punisher's dad.
I thought Typeface was a hero.
I thought Typeface was a villain.
I don't know. In Civil War, he was hanging out with the heroes, which is because that's like the only time I've ever actually seen him in a book.
I want to say when he first popped up in Spider-Man, I was pretty sure he was a villain or
Yeah, who
anti-hero or something. Yeah.
Anyway,
It's
we're
like
talking
Typeface
about
in
Death
there.
Urge, servant of the cosmic being Oblivion. Sometimes you'll see him, and he'll be running around on skis. He's Death on skis because DC had a Death on skis, so Marvel had to have a Death on skis. Trying to adjust the picture where you can see the skis, but I've got too many other things in the way. But anyway, so I became familiar with him. There was a Quasar storyline where the main villain was this fellow named Maelstrom who worked for Oblivion. He was using Death Urge as kind of his flunky. But you do research, and he is tied to some oddball characters. If you're familiar with the Great Lakes Avengers, he has been like since childhood, been kind of an on-again, off-again companion with Mr. Immortal. Because he recognizes Immortal for what he is. You know, he's supposed to be one of the last living creatures in the universe. Where Immortal thinks he's just a mutant, which would be Homo sapien superior. Death Urge eventually fills him in that he's actually Homo sapien supreme, which is something Marvel had introduced in What Ifs sometime back. But he's basically intangible for the most part. He can pull weapons out of his shadowy form, and if he gets you with it, you basically like kind of blacken, shrivel up, and die. But only if you're his target. If he swings, if the weapon passes through somebody else that he's not trying to hit, it don't do nothing to him. And if he ain't after you, or you don't have some kind of weird awareness, you tend not to be able to see him. At least not if he doesn't want you to. Now, like Mr. Immortal could see him, and what have you. Oh, and to cover his origin, or his first appearance, I should say, he popped up in Marvel 2-in-1. Number 71 back in 1981. So, you know, he's been around a little while. But he is most famous, in as much as he's famous in any way, for going after Squirrel Girl's her squirrel Monkey Joe.
Tippy
Which was like
Joe.
her. No, this one was, let me double check. But no, Tippy Joe, I think, was the second one she had.
You gonna tell me Squirrel had a squirrel that died, and I'm gonna be sad, aren't I?
I think he did die eventually, but it was not. Death Urge was coming for him, and well, the page I'm looking at has actually skipped that whole section, despite the fact that it talks about him being a squirrel. It doesn't explain why he's a squirrel. But no, Tippy is her current squirrel that she's still got. I want to say Monkey Joe or whatever his name was the first one.
Yeah, Monkey Joe was the first one. Tippy Toe.
That's right, it's Tippy Toe,
That-
not Joe.
Yeah, yes, Tippy Toe.
So yeah, he has a run-in with Squirrel Girl where he's going after her squirrel, and you know, when that fails, I believe Oblivion basically, you know, curses him into the form of a squirrel. And to my knowledge, when he pops up, that's still what he looks like. You have a Great Lakes Avenger when the scene where he's explaining to Mr. Immortal exactly what he is and why he's like that, because Immortal thinks his power is something Death Urge gave him, and he's like, no, and then he explains the whole Homo sapien supreme thing. But yeah, that whole conversation, which is dark because Immortal's trying to get him to take the power back because he doesn't want to live forever, and you know, yada yada yada. But the entire time he's talking to him in squirrel form.
which is
Does
not
he
the
still have
most.
the ski?
Yeah, and the picture I've got up has got him as a squirrel, still with his gloves and his cape on his skis. It didn't alter his powers in any way.
Yeah, it just altered his form.
So, when death comes for you, it may be a squirrel on skis, if you live in the Marvel Universe. Now, Death Urge, mostly, if one of his superiors is not sending him after somebody for, supervillainish plans or whatever, it tends to be people that are already craving death in some way that he goes for. Because, like I said, Mr. Immortal, he was kind of buddies with off and on through his life. But when he saw, Mr. Immortal's girlfriend committed suicide, Death Urge came for her, and when Immortal saw that, he started thinking of him more as a tormentor after that. So, they'll do oddly dark things with him when generally he's kind of goofy. I don't know. It's such a weird, old school comic book sort of character that I'd be lying if I really said he was my favorite villain, probably. But I find him greatly amusing.
I was about to say, how much stuff has he actually been in?
He's been in some Marvel 2-in-1s. Like I said, he's fought Quasar a few times. He's popped up in the Great Lakes Avengers stuff. I mean, he's not Thanos or
Did he
even
fight
Taskmaster.
Quasar as a squirrel?
No, this was before that.
Okay.
Now, when you're running through the story with Maelstrom and Oblivion, which is all happening right around the time just before and kind of during Infinity Gauntlet.
Oh, okay.
Because Oblivion is a cosmic entity that's like Death's brother. Maelstrom's trying to gather power, and he's actually mocking Thanos at one point.
Oh, that's going to end well.
If that's Thanos with the gauntlet, he's insane.
Yeah, it's got something to do with how Oblivion works. How his patron work. I forget exactly. Now, he wasn't fighting Thanos. You only see that in a later storyline where Quasar is hopping. He's hopping dimensions, gathering up the living laser for the Watcher. Because the living laser had gotten to the Watcher's house and hit some kind of portal that had split him up. Quasar was cleaning up. You get to one world there where you've got, Maelstrom at the full power he was trying to gather, and Thanos at his full power, going at it, and they're the only two things left in the universe. Because Maelstrom sees Quasar and is like, oh, I thought I'd killed that speck a long time ago, and smacks him, and that's how he wound up in the new universe. But we're getting away from Death Urge.
I thought I got rid of you a long time ago. Thump.
Yep, basically. So anyway, maybe not my favorite villain, but I don't know. He just amuses me. He has a special place in my heart. And like I said, at first glance, he's just a knockoff of Black Racer from DC.
Thanos is really just a knockoff of Darkseid. So.
Though the creator claims up and down that it was
Metatron.
Yeah, Metatron that he was.
Yeah. Knocking off.
Which, to be fair, I think Thanos did used to sit in his chair a whole lot. So.
Yep.
So anyway, that wraps up some of our favorite villains. Leave a comment in the or leave your list in our comments, I guess I should say. If you like the video, like, subscribe, do all the things.
And if you make a suggestion, maybe we'll take it.
Especially right
When we're
now when
desperate,
Geek
needy.
News is so hard to come by.
Yeah.
No, we're not doing it because we don't, because we couldn't talk about other stuff. We do it because we care. My God, man, learn to fake your sincerity.
If I could do that, I'd go into politics. So anyway, that wraps us up. We will see y'all next week, I suppose.
Oh, no shout outs on the way out. We just assume. You're just gonna assume they know who the hell we are. Okay, that works.
Fine. Again, I've been your host, the experienced, so I'm called Jason, and with me has been
CDO 113.
The token, we'll get this right next time. Tarky.
No, we won't. Todd.
Has Danny died?
No, I said no, we won't. I've already said mine.
Droid?
Everybody can hear you but you, Todd. Just do your exit.
Okay. And I'm the Todd father. Catch you later.
Peace.